We have a pretty good idea of what to do with good queens and how to nurture them. And we've talked quite a bit about bad queens and what to do with them. But what I want to talk with you about today is what do you do with those queens that are in the middle category?
I too often don't do anything.
Well, I can't disagree with that concept. Too often I don't do anything either. But I'd like to talk about it and see when do you do something and when do you not do anything. You up for that?
Sure, yeah. Let's take a look at, what did you say? Marginal queens?
That's what I'm going to call them. Marginal queens. Could have been better, could have been worse.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jim Tew.
And I'm Kim Flottam.
And we're here with Honeybee Obscura today, and we want to know more about what Kim and I should do, could do, need to do with queens that are not good, but they're not bad.
You are listening to Honeybee Obscura, brought to you by Growing Planet Media, the folks behind Beekeeping Today podcast. Each week on Honeybee Obscura, host Kim Flottam and Jim Tew explore the complexities, the beauty, the fun, and the challenges of managing honeybees in today's world in an engaging and informative discussion meant for all beekeepers, long-timers, and those just starting their journey with bees. So sit back and enjoy the next several minutes as Kim and Jim explore all things honeybees.
How do you know it's a marginal queen?
Yeah, that's exactly. I was going to wait to trip you up. What is a marginal queen?
Exactly. If you have 4 or 5 colonies, you can compare and contrast. If 3 or 4 of them have 10 frames of bees and one has only 3, then you can say that you need to watch that one. And that's where I get into trouble because I spend more time watching than doing. I'll let her go for a week, maybe 10 days, and I come back and check the others and see where they are. I'll let her go another week. And pretty soon it's fall.
Well, you got to the same location, fall, that I got to, but we took a different path. I would be out there on those rare occasions when I've got my bees open, and you're doing that work, and the birds are singing, and the skies are blue, and you're getting good work done, and you go through one colony, and it really looks good, and all the frames are packed out with brood, and you go through 2 or 3 or 4 looking like this, and then you get to one with a shotgun pattern, that spotty pattern where only about half of the cells are filled. And you find her and she looks pretty good. She's got a good attitude, smile on her face, looks like she's carrying herself regally. But the visual results of her output just are not impressive compared to what I've just seen in other colonies. So at that moment, you got to think at that moment, how impressive is she?
You mentioned an issue. You said spotty brood. And my feeling more often than not is it's not the queen, it's something else that's causing the spotty brood. I'm going to wait another week and see if it clears up.
That's an excellent point, Kim, and I think that's a good way of wording it. It's not the queen, it's something else.
Yeah.
And then you got to say, well, if it's something else and it's not the queen, was it the queen indirectly? Was it something she was doing with genetics? And then at that point, I do exactly what Kim Flottam does. I think, I'm going to wait a week on this. But the reason I get to fall in a different way than you is that my week turns into a month. I end up cutting grass, maybe taking a short vacation, hanging out with the grandkids or something. And my intention to go back and to check this marginal queen kind of turns into, can I say a month? 3 weeks? A month? So what do you do? I keep thinking I'm going to check on this queen. I have the best of intentions, and I do the mark on the top of the colony and land the brick a certain way, so that it means some kind of code. And then I forget the code. I forget what I've done, but I do remember that queen was not particularly good.
Yeah, there's another side to this story, and something I've been exploring more and more recently. Bees have been putting food on my table for over 30 years. And I have, for the most of those 30 years, tried to make sure that people who have bees are able to have those bees put food on their table. Since that's no longer the case for me, if these bees die or if they don't thrive and make me any honey, or I'm caring less, because bees are going to be bees, and I'm kind of watching them be bees. Now, there's an upside to this and a downside to that. From my perspective, the upside is they'll just keep on keeping on. The downside is, why is this a marginal queen? And you touched on that. Is there something wrong with the queen's genetics? Is there a disease present? Is there a small hive beetle, mites, whatever it is, it's causing the hive to not thrive? I have to find that out before I do anything.
All right, so let me tell you what I'm thinking and to see if it's what you're thinking. We've got a queen. She could be doing better. We don't know why that she's doing what she is. When do we pull the plug, Kim? When do you say, all right, this is worth a $40 investment and about a 2.5, 3 hour drive to my local supplier to pick this queen up? When do I decide to invest well over a half a day and $40 to $50? What has she got to be doing that is so bad? In my case, she's got to really be a bad queen. I mean, she's got to be bad. But importantly, Kim, I got to have some of the season left. If I go buy this new queen and bring her back and get her installed and get her producing, does she have enough time to get that colony into winterable condition? So one of the things that I'd be looking at is, what time of the season is it that I finally made the decision to pull the plug?
Yeah, that's, like I said, if bees are putting food on your table and you're looking at a midsummer honey flow coming up and you're looking at a queen that's just not doing what all the other queens are doing in terms of producing brood, if I need to get 60 pounds of honey off this colony, then I got to do something now. If it's later in the season, then you can take a look and say, I can just let them go downhill and see if they're there in the spring, because I don't want to spend a lot of time and money on a colony that isn't going to get up to speed soon enough to survive winter, probably.
Well, you really are in a different place. This really is an evolutionary path for you. Not that it's wrong. I mean, I'm kind of there with you. A lot of this is because my ever-increasing age every year begins to accumulate. So the energy I used to have to go out there and just work bees all the time and do what it intensively took, I'm more protective of that energy now. So maybe I'll let this go on longer. Maybe I'll justify just natural bee biology. Maybe I'll use the cost of the queen as an excuse. As a younger man, I would look at those excuses and reasons differently that I use now when I look at that same situation.
Yeah. Do I want 3 colonies next spring or do I want 6? And that's one of the other things I'm looking at, is where do I want to be next season? And you just hit the nail on the head. When I'm not getting any younger. These boxes aren't getting any lighter. And how much work do I want to do here? And scaling back, this is a natural way to scale back, is to let this one ease off the planet, and I'll just keep what's left.
I can understand that. Let me think about this for a few minutes, and I'll get back to you with fresh thoughts right after this commercial break.
Get your high-quality licensed beekeeping equipment at Better Bee. As the United States distributor for Lyson, Better Bee is proud to offer honey extractors that range in size from holding 2 to 88 frames, insulated polystyrene hives and nuke boxes, wax and honey processing equipment, and over 250 styles of licensed, highly rated, and easy-to-use silicone candle molds. Visit betterbee.com to learn more and shop for high-quality licensed products.
Visit Better Bee today, your partners in better beekeeping.
You know, Kim, all the bee books have routine recommendations for how to combine colonies. I think the one thing that you said a bit ago, do I want 3 colonies? Do you want 6 colonies? Do you want 10 colonies? Do you want 1 colony? Well, here's the deal. I want 1 or 2 hives of bees, 3 or 4. I got 10 or 15 right now. That's more than I want. But I just want bees next spring. So if I need to, if it gets to it, let's just combine this colony with another one. I mean, just write it off. Well, this one didn't work. This was a walk-away split, and the queen that resulted from it just was not a good day for the bees when they produced her, and she didn't work out. So we'll try again next time, maybe next year. So just combine them, the numbers that you have. Do you have 10 colonies, or do you have 30 colonies? Do you have 3 colonies? Those numbers should be irrelevant. What are the good colonies that you got? They're the ones you want to worry about, not so much just the total number.
Yeah, combining it with a stronger colony is a way to not the colony die, and a way to let, I guess I could say, to let nature fix the problem. And I don't have to worry about either one, but I'll go back to, why did she have spotty brood? And you got to make sure that it's not something that you're going to take from that colony and put into that other colony that you're joining it with.
Yep. When you said, let nature take its course, nature's pretty harsh on bees in the wild. And a lot of times nature takes them right out of the gene pool. So, almost lowering my voice here because it seems so heartless. But sometimes a question has to be asked, why would I mix these old bees with a perfectly good colony?
Exactly.
I mean, if these bees are run down, they're tired, they tried to raise a queen, it didn't work, they've got some dead brood there, it's just messy combs. What did a good colony sitting next door to it do to deserve being given this deep of mess for them to clean up?
That's kind of where I was going with this. That's exactly right. Am I gonna make things worse for that colony also by joining them? Or I will go back to just let nature take her course and let that colony decide its fate one way or the other, and I'm not going to step in and get in the way or help it along.
Well, I want to say 2 things. Number one, I agree with you. Let nature take its course. So having said that, then I want to ask the second thing. Are there people listening to us who will say, boy, that's really sloppy beekeeping? So are we sloppy beekeepers, or are we practical beekeepers?
Well, there's a third alternative there. Are we old beekeepers? And
Oh, God. Oh, how many times can we play that card? Yeah. As a young guy, I would have cut this grass and requeened that colony, and you wouldn't believe how good my bees would have looked then. Sure, they look like trash now, but that's because I'm an old guy.
That's exactly it. And I'm not going to be any younger later this summer or first thing next spring. So nature wins on all 3 counts here, on keeping the bees out of the genetic pool, on not messing up another colony, and making life a little simpler for me the rest of the time I'm here.
In the bright light of reality, Kim, we're not really doing anything that nature doesn't do on many occasions. If there's a colony there that just did not make it, then cruel that it seems, they go away. If you just can't live with it and it hurts you, then combine them with another colony. You probably did not help that other colony. And the bees that you combined were going to die in a few days, a week or so anyway. So all you really did was made yourself feel a little bit better at the moment.
Yeah, I hate marginal colonies. That's why I hate marginal. They make me think. And I can do nothing, and the colony will probably expire, or I can work a lot and the colony may still expire. But I'll go back to what I said in the beginning. Bees aren't putting food on my table anymore in terms of honey production and queen production and bee production. So I'm not so worried about the outcome of that colony.
Yeah. Well, this is where I am on this, Kim, as we wind down. If it's early spring and I've still got major parts of the flow coming up, and I've got a queen that's just not doing what she should be doing, I will consider making the trip and then activating the entire system of performing hive surgery on that colony. She did not have a good brood pattern. She had this thing we call spotty brood. There's dead bees everywhere, or there's empty cells. The population didn't build up. It just doesn't look like a happy colony, and it's still early spring. I'm sorry. She's done. But if that same colony only begins to show those symptoms mid to late summer, early fall, it really isn't worth it. And at that point, play different cards.
Yes.
Would you agree? Combine them, or just let nature do that thing. So sometimes combining them, at least you get the equipment cleaned up, and the good bees can do that for you. If you just let nature do its thing, then that colony sits there, it dies out, and then maybe the mice or the wax moths get to it before you do. So maybe that's a selfish reason for putting that colony, that box, on a stronger colony, is let them keep the mice and the wax moths out of it. But it's just my whole point for talking to you on this subject is that you know a beautiful queen production output when you see it, and you know the really bad production output when you see that. What do you do with that queen who's right in the middle? She's okay, but she could be better, but she could be worse. That was the one I struggle with all the time.
It's a conundrum, and the answer lies with you in terms of what you're doing with those bees and with nature and what she thinks should happen to those bees and who wins.
I like that exactly. The answer actually lies with nature. You can try to jump in and save it. What's your personality? You can just stand back, let things take its course. But ultimately, you got to keep the good ones and keep them healthy. And ultimately, you got to deal with the ones that didn't make it. Is this a gloomy topic? Help me end this thing on a bright note, Kim.
One of my empty colonies from last year just caught a swarm. How's that?
Oh, okay. Well, what does her brood pattern look like? Yeah. It looks good, doesn't it? You know, that's the good thing about not looking at your bees and your heart and mind. They look great until you go out and confirm the fact that that wasn't the way they looked. Well, thank you for letting me slog through this. The point is, sometimes you got queens that just are not going to make it, and you decide how much labor you want to allocate to that colony. But ultimately, that's not going to be one of your best colonies.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the end of the story there.
It didn't really end. It just kind of collapsed, didn't it? Hey, if you're listening to us and you got an opinion on this, if we should do more, if we should do less to save these marginal colonies, what would you do? Let me know. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you would do. We'll talk about it later if you let us know what you think.
And if you think of it, pass us along to friends that don't know about our podcast here. We've got pretty good listeners numbers, but hopefully people are getting enough out of this that they'll come back. So pass it along, and maybe we can help some other people.
Very good. Bye-bye.